He did not respect Clemson at all.
Honestly, dude, I still would hold to the fact that I think the Lobos just fucking didn't show up.
That
More so than Clemson was better than we thought or anything like that.
Kentucky has to fire Cal, right?
They what?
They have to fire Cal, right?
They're not gonna.
You don't think so?
I doubt it.
I
I
bet
think
they
they
do.
should, man.
I bet they do.
Don't you think it would have already been done by now?
It's a good point. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe they're trying to get an active coach. Maybe their egos are massive and they think they can get somebody like Dan Hurley.
Marquette plays. Who's Marquette play?
NC State.
That's right. Those fucking ACC teams, I keep forgetting about. All right.
The NC State run is insane.
Yes.
They got kind of lucky though. They got to play
Yeah.
Oakland.
Oakland in the second round is big. And then did Washington play for Texas Tech? I think he did, right?
Yeah, I think so. Dude, that A&M game yesterday was insane. It
I was sick, dude.
was
I
incredible.
uh I had A&M in my bracket, so like I was really pulling for them because I would have
Oh
knocked
shit.
so many people out, dude.
I have
But
two,
yeah,
I have two plays that in the Sweet 16, and those are the only plays I'm playing, and I love them.
already locked in.
They're not already locked in,
All
but
right, but
yeah.
perspective.
Yep.
Houston first half.
No. Well,
Okay.
maybe. It's possible.
Dude, who were you guys on for that
This
Northwestern FAU game?
Northwestern.
Good. That
Oh
was
yeah, we
fucking
were on
awesome.
Northwestern, yeah.
The biggest heartbreaker of the day, it was definitely New Mexico, but at that same time, Florida, that Florida loss was
Yeah.
the ball tipping in and out and then going in. It was insane. That was a tough watch.
That was like the Kawhi shot.
That was a tough one. Or actually, no, that was on.
No, it was the same time. It was the same exact time. I had Colorado. It got me back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good
And
for
then we
you,
had
man.
Purdue minus 27 and a half.
Oh my gosh. What a run.
Yeah,
Purdue minus 27 and a half was hilarious.
my best win might have been Long Beach State.
Dude, that was so fun.
That
The beach, dude,
was one of my best wins.
by the hook.
By the Oh man.
Oh,
Michigan State was great. We started out both days great. Michigan State and Northwestern.
Yes.
yeah, I
Yes.
know.
To that Northwestern game, I was heading to I was gonna go to Revel to watch the Lobo game, but my brother was bringing he was bringing food from Tomasitas, so I was like tuned into the Northwestern game as I was driving. Go to the wrong place because I had Tomasitas on my brain.
Oh
So I like
shit.
watched the Northwestern end of regulation there. And then I was like, fuck, I'm at the wrong place. So I started driving and like turned the stream off so I could focus. And I pulled up Action Network like a minute later and they were up like 8.
Yeah,
It
they
was
smoked him
fucking,
in OT.
yeah, it was tight.
I can't believe how bad Baylor is. I mean, I can, but I can't.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't have them making a run.
They just, I mean, Misi got fucking bodied by PJ Hall until he fouled out.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Oregon was the most fun, or sorry, Colorado was the most fun team in the tournament so far.
I know. I kind of wish they would have won that game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. The thing is, I think Marquette can do it.
I think so too.
I don't think Colorado was ever going to do it. Like,
Right.
Yes.
Colorado was not going to do it. They were just talented and they were fun. It was like, kind of like watching Grand Canyon yesterday. It was like, Jesus Christ. There's not a lot that they can do right, but they're athletic and they fucking are fun to watch.
that game burnt my eyeballs, dude. Both teams were just kicking it around the entire
Oh,
time.
dude,
GCU.
it was so
Yeah.
painful to watch.
Holding a GCU ticket was infuriating, but it was still so
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Alabama was fucking giving it away too. It was just like everybody was drooling all over themselves
Yeah.
until the last 4 minutes, and then fucking GCU just had a lid on the hoop.
Yeah, dude.
Tweet. It was a bunch of crackheads playing pickup hoops at the park, just fucking throwing the ball off each other's faces, saying this GCU Bama game is getting out of hand.
It was like they
Who
were
said
playing
that?
with soaked basketball.
Yeah, correct.
It was horrible. Utah State too. If I would have known Danny Sprinkle had 1 foot out the door.
I mean, I just don't even know what to say about that. They just Purdue, I think it's not even as much. Well, I mean, Utah State obviously didn't do anything to help them, but help themselves. But Purdue fucking just look like world beaters, dude.
Mhm.
Should we get this thing going?
Yep. Did you send a request to record it?
No.
All right, you're good.
Okay, it says I'm recording.
Okay, ready to go?
Yep, I think.
3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Voyage College Basketball. And we are 2 rounds done with the tournament. We've got a Sweet 16 on our hands now, and excited to chop it up with you boys about it. I'm the host, Cam Erickson, tonight, and we've got another full crew with you. We are live on YouTube as well. Johnny Dittman, Don't Bet Bad Clubs. We've got him here tonight. We've got Lordy. We got our guy Ray here, and we've got the spread inspector. So thanks everybody for tuning in. How are you guys doing tonight? Johnny, how are you recovering from Vegas? My voice is a little bit raspy right now, but we had a hell of a time.
It was a great time. It was a fun trip. We didn't win many bets. It didn't go necessarily how we wanted it to, but nonetheless, it was a blast. I'm past the point of feeling like a cartoon character. I feel like I'm an actual human being again. I slept for a long time. I drank a ton of water. I sat on the toilet an alarming amount. That might be too much information, but it's true nonetheless.
Yep.
But besides that, I'm doing great.
Ray, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I think Johnny described it perfectly. I've never been able to like really express that feeling after a Vegas trip, but a cartoon character is pretty spot on. Happy to have you guys back. I'm glad you had fun out there. It looked like an absolute blast. And I'm doing well. I sat on my couch all weekend and watched basketball. It's the best weekend of the year, in my opinion.
It
So
is.
I'm happy to chop it up and we get to look forward to it again. How about you, Cam?
Good deal. Johnny looked over at me when we were at Top Golf on Friday afternoon and said something along the lines of, I feel like Peter Griffin. And I didn't really quite know what he was saying, but I never related to anything so much. I think my response on Twitter was like, yeah, I'm a dumbass without knowing I'm a dumbass or something like that. But I don't know. There was a lot of banter on Twitter. It was a great time. Chris and you all had a great time as well. Kane, how you doing, buddy? How's
I
the
was
tournament
gonna
been treating
I,
you?
I was gonna ask if your voice is raspy from slurping down bunk sportsbook pizza. That stuff
Uh,
looked terrible. It looked inedible.
Yeah, but we also did some fine dining as well too. So it's all right. Probably
Yeah.
even itself out. No,
Yeah.
my voice is raspy because I was yelling at the damn screen, pissed off about the Lobos, um, and several other bets that I was probably getting belligerent and screaming about. So, how you doing?
Yeah. I'm doing good, not too many games. It was a pocket phone weekend. The wife's birthday. She shares it with her mother, my mother-in-law. So a lot of events on Saturday that weren't focused around basketball, a lot of setup on Friday, not focused around hoops, but I keep that thing on me. Had the pocket phone. Friend of the program in Chicago native Jake Nabbit partook in a lot of the events, and he always had his phone out checking scores, sweating bets. So I was always well informed. But it was a good weekend. It was great. Wish I could make it out there with you guys, but that's the name of the game.
It is indeed. That's the way it goes. But yeah, I think we probably had enough beers to account for all four of us, so it's fine. Um,
I would
and
I would like to say that pizza review, Kane. Just I want everybody to know that that was one of the best piece of content I've ever posted in my entire life. I told him to do a pizza review, and when I tell you this man did not want to do it, he did not want to do it at all. But he delivered, he battled through it. It was incredible.
I mean, some of the pictures, like at Top Golf, where Cam's shirtless, I was just wondering what the hell is going on. And you're like, I got a bad angle of my boy over here. It's just like, why are you shirtless at Top Golf? So
We
that I
didn't.
think that speaks enough. But
He said film this, and I didn't know what he was doing. And then the
I
next day, we realized maybe I should have gotten a better angle.
yeah, that's a tough one to swallow there. I listen, I pounded some pavement today. It's all right. We're getting back on track.
Good. Good.
Um, so I guess let's start where I think we got to get the elephant out of the room real quick, and it's about the New Mexico Lobos. So tough outing. I mean, I don't really have much to say other than it just they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything right. Um, they didn't rebound the basketball. They didn't make many shots. They turned it over. I mean, they weren't really in foul trouble, I don't think. But I mean, I don't know. There's not really anything positive about what happened to the New Mexico Lobos on Friday. Ray, what were your thoughts on that contest against Clemson?
Yeah, it was tough to watch. It's just, I mean, so many times throughout the season, we would find ourselves in the same position, stepping up, chinning up to the mic, and we say, you can't have your best players go cold. But in this situation, I don't even think you can really put the onus on House Smash, Dent, whoever. Like nobody played well. They shot 29% from the floor. They were 13% from three. It's just not a good recipe. That was always kind of the knock on them. Like they're not a good shooting team. They were able to stay in a lot of games by because 3-pointers wasn't their like bread and butter, and they
Right.
found they found other ways to score. They played defense, forced turnovers. None of that stuff happened. They kind of got out toughed. I thought Clemson just out physicaled them, out hustled them. Um, it was just a really, really tough time to have your worst game. Kind of wonder if the conference tournament was their Super Bowl. Um,
Right.
just a disappointing outing. I will say, and I bet the Lobos. I'm not here to like fucking say that I was like sharp or anything, but it did make me incredibly nervous when every podcast, every piece of content I listened to was like, this Lobo team is poised to make a deep run. That never feels good to be, the big public team. But yeah, they just really, really didn't show up. Everyone had a bad game. It was a tough way to go out, and it's kind of the story of the Lobos for the past decade or so that I've paid close attention. But I will say, this season was a success. If they're Mountain West Conference tournament champions, and if you told me that was going to be the case after say getting blown out at Colorado State in their first conference game, I would take that every single time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're 100% right. And I do have questions about whether or not the Mountain West tournament just kind of drained the team and maybe they had tired legs. I mean, when the bracket initially came out, I was feeling pretty good that that they at least got to wait until Friday to play, but you know, you never know. I mean, they went through an absolute gauntlet in the Mountain West tournament in Las Vegas and then, you know, briefly came home to Albuquerque. I'm sure some of the guys tied one on, you know, one or two of those nights, and then they gotta, you know, get back to work, and then a quick turnaround to go to Memphis. So it's not easy. There's probably a reason why why Johnny was mentioning it, you know, a lot during the week. Hey, teams that win their conference tournament like struggle in the tournament. There's probably something to be said for that. Um,
And not
and
to,
yeah,
sorry, not don't want to cut you off. You go ahead. I'll save it for later.
and no, I don't know really know where I was going to be honest. um, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, not to single the Lobos out, but the storyline is always Mountain West sucks in the tourney, and
Right.
we're heading into the second weekend, and San Diego State's the only team left standing. So on a bigger picture scale, that's a tough one to swallow as well.
Yes, absolutely it is. And that one actually really hurts me. I had high hopes. I had high hopes. I think they got there's a couple of tough matchups there and some things didn't go their way, but whatever. Nonetheless, it just didn't work out. And so now we're at where we're at. Johnny, did you have any thoughts on that Lobos game before we get into the rest of things here?
I mean, it was, yeah, I mean, you guys said everything, but it was just disgusting. I mean, it was horrible. It's my biggest bet of the week. I liked it. They were hot. I liked the way they played, and it was a loser from the tip.
Yes.
The game was over in after the national anthem. It was done. The bigger problem is the Mountain West. What if Ray wouldn't have mentioned that, I would have freaked out. But you guys, I mean, you saved it to the end, but it's true. This is a bad showing for the Mountain West. And this was a podcast that was big on the Mountain West. And listen, here's the thing. I love the Mountain West. I love watching the Mountain West. I think it's one of the most entertaining conferences in college basketball. However, they just don't match up well with the rest of the nation. And it's just every year after year. And I think last year it was like San Diego State went, they're really the only team that does anything.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just
Yeah.
the reality of it. It sucks, but it's
It-
true.
It's hard to argue that that it's just maybe just a fact that they're the only team that has this culture and this brand and this style of play that can travel and win against anybody in the tournament. Now, I will also say though, they drew UAB and Yale in the first two rounds. However, last year, I think they drew Charleston and I can't recall who in the second round, but it was another low seeded team. But they still went on to beat Alabama. So, you know, running through real quick, I mean, just to talk about the Mountain West real quick, it's bad. Boise State obviously lost in the play-in round to Colorado. That one was really not competitive. Was it? I can't really recall. Nevada just blows a 17-point lead late in the ball game against Dayton, a Dayton team that we trashed all year, and we had pie thrown in our face
That
because
was
Nevada
bad.
just could not hang on. Colorado State didn't show up against Texas. They beat Virginia in the first four, but then I mean, I think they scored 11 points in the first half against Texas. It was just a
Gross.
disgrace. Um, and then of course New Mexico lost, and then San Diego State got it done um, against. I just said it. What am I doing here?
Yale.
UAB and
UAB.
Yale.
UAB.
UAB and then
Yale.
Yale. Yes, they
Yeah.
tried to give it away against UAB
Yeah.
though, and then Utah State had a very impressive performance against TCU. Although I think some of the metrics would indicate that that was probably TCU's worst performance of the whole season, and then Utah State proceeds to get snot bubbled by Purdue in the second round. That was not close at all either. So yeah, it was just bad overall by the Mountain West. I don't really know what to say. I don't know how to describe it. I don't know what to um you know what the reason is. I don't know what the reason is behind that, but anyways, we can move on from that. And I want to talk about what happened. We'll just go day by day on the slates of the tournament. So Thursday, Let's take a look at last Thursday, March 21st, the first round. I just want to open the floor up and let anybody talk about any one of these games here. I think we nailed it on the head. I think Johnny and I both woke up on Thursday morning and said, what are we thinking? We almost convinced ourselves on Mississippi State last night.
Yeah.
Why are we going to go against Tom Izzo in the first round? And we corrected ourselves back to Spartans heavy. That was a nice way to start the day. Anything else? I'll just open up the floor. Johnny, Thursday, what was huge to you on that day?
I thought I was really shocked about the next game on that slate, Duquesne BYU. I'm not necessarily shocked that BYU got bullied around, but Duquesne in that game looked really good, really physical, athletic. They looked way better than BYU, and I was not expecting that. I think that we might have undervalued that Duquesne was a little bit banged up throughout the year, and we were big on them in the beginning of the year, and then they kind of let us down, and we kind of gave up on them. And then we saw them in the tournament. Their guards they beat up BYU. We were sitting in the sports book, and it was like BYU had a really good season in the Big 12, a Big 12 conference that everybody was complaining about was refed too physically. So that was a shocker to me. It's a big
And
upset.
Yeah.
did you guys hear the controversy that BYU fans are actually upset about too? Is they asked for a lower seed than they were qualified for. They had the potential of getting a 5 seed, but
Yeah.
they did not want a Friday game and then if they win, having to play on Sunday
Yep. They do
for
that.
religious reasons.
Yep.
I know they do that every year, but like imagine if they would have played McNeese. They would have played McNeese.
No, they would have
Potential
played UA.
or
Well, I
okay,
guess in
wrong.
that
Yeah,
same
I'm looking at the wrong.
region, it's UAB. But
Yeah.
who
But
I don't know which side of the bracket they would have
But
been
I'm
on.
to your point, Kane, if that's a BYU fan telling me that, tough crap.
Yeah. No, I mean
You
it
know?
was nuts, especially down the stretch. They were cold the entire game, but then down the stretch, like you said, Duquesne's guard play was phenomenal. I can't remember the name of their point guard, but I think he shot like 96% from the free throw line this year, and he's
Yeah.
inbounding the ball every single time. They're just like, okay, he's gonna inbound it, they're gonna give it right back.
Right.
BYU knows that. And I think he had like 10 points in the last minute because they just kept doing the same exact thing and they couldn't prevent him from getting the ball. Like
It was
it was
bad.
terrible execution by BYU.
Yeah, Duquesne was ultra physical though. I mean, that's what really stood out to me. It was kind of crazy. It came out and punched him in the mouth.
Erickson had to go fix his MGM map, which was a debacle. And
Yes.
he came back 5, 6 minutes into the game, and I looked at him and I was like, we all had said live bet BYU, and I was like, Duquesne's gonna win this game. Duquesne, and he's
Yeah.
like, what are you talking about? I'm like, watch this game right now.
No, I know.
After halftime, he was like, all right, yeah.
So I did chase it a little bit. I probably chased it at the wrong time because Duquesne got up huge, and I think you could have got BYU at plus money and with a few points here. I don't know if they would have ended up covering anything that they were ever at live, but I took it live -3.5 and live -5.5, and obviously both those lost.
I took them live -1 when they were down 11, I think, in the second half. So I don't know if you ever could have gotten a plus number, but they didn't cover anything.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
tough.
aside from that, like Samford, I think you guys hit the nail on the head with that. Really battled with Kansas and
How about
debatably should
that?
have won.
Yeah, how about
Well,
that block call?
well, let me just tell you guys a personal story here. So at that point in the evening, Johnny and I and the whole crew, we were eating. And thankfully the restaurant we were at had a couple TVs on the screen. We were watching. I was getting into that Samford game, man. They stormed back late. It was good, but tough, a little bit tough to see though. I mean, it was a smaller TV in the corner of the bar, but Stanford covered and we were all super stoked. We woke up the next morning and Johnny just had zero recollection. He didn't believe me that Stanford covered, dude. I was like, what? We watched it happen. But yeah.
Guy was just sipping wine, huh?
Can you explain the block call?
Yeah,
that you're referring to?
at this point in the game, it's late in the game. I think I think it was even under a minute because yeah, it was 89-91. So this was like crunch time. Probably 30 seconds or so. I don't remember if it was on like a broken inbound and someone got behind the defense for Kansas, but I'm looking right here. I think it's Furphy goes up for a dunk, and a Sanford guy comes flying in, like swats the ball away. You see the ball hit off the rim and shoot off, and Sanford grabs it, and the Kansas player goes down hard, and they call a foul. But upon the replay, I mean, you can clearly see it's all ball. And the thing that I don't understand is what has to happen in order to constitute a replay. Because my understanding of the rules are you can review a foul and you can remove a foul, but you can't add a foul on a play. So
Right.
I thought that was a reviewable play. But I guess thinking about it logistically, then it's like tough to decide who gets the ball and stuff. But regardless, it was a clean block. Sanford should have had the ball down to with about 20 seconds left to play. And in that regard, they kind of got robbed. A lot of woulda, coulda, shoulda, but that's how it played out.
Yeah, and it was a high scoring affair. We were kind of spot on about that. Samford was going to play at a fast pace. The total ended up sailing over, I think.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, Samford probably just didn't help themselves out enough in the first half. But yeah, that was a good ball game. Uh, at this, during the day on Thursday, I was really sitting there thinking, because I think I had teams like South Dakota State. We took Oakland, um, took some big underdogs, took Long Beach State, and I was thinking there the whole time because a few of them faded in the second half, and I was like, we should just be taking these large dogs to cover in the first half. It's usually like a feeling out process in the first half, and that's kind of the way that it was playing out. Um, Obviously, Oakland was the hugest upset of the day over Kentucky.
That was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring up the same thing, just the fact that all of these large spread dogs, some of them were up at half, some of them were, what was it, um the Jackrabbits, they were only down like a
Right,
couple at half,
right.
and then obviously they fade. But
Right.
it was incredible how many of these teams were literally within fighting distance, and then obviously, better coached, better programs, the bigger programs, it's aside from Kentucky, all made adjustments, and then they just turn the Jets on and they get going in the second half.
Right. They go on
With
a
that being
20
said,
hole run.
Calipari, I don't know if you guys saw this. He's meeting with the AD. I believe it was today or tomorrow on the direction of the team, because
Hmm.
this is what his second upset in 3 years as a top seeded team.
They
It's
are, I believe, 1-4 in their last 5 tournament appearances,
it's
Oh,
or
it's
one and
nuts.
1-5 in their last 5, if that's correct.
With
Yeah,
all that talent, I get they're a young team, and we've been saying that all year, and they're completely boom or bust. They're going to put up 200 points or 20 points, or they're going to give up 200 points. I think that it showed their true colors. A bunch of young guys. I think they did a side by side with the OKC Thunder, and they've got like the same age as the Thunder, who's the youngest team in NBA history. Um, yeah, and I mean, you look at a lot of some of these bigger conference teams, Big Ten teams and whatnot. They've got a lot of grad transfers and whatnot, guys that are fifth year, sixth year. So I don't know, experience. I feel like it's starting to play a little bit more of an impact, and you're not just getting a bunch of NIL money, getting some of the top stars in there, and they don't mesh. They have no cohesion, and they don't play as a team. They're eye guys.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about the eye guys, but I do agree with what you're saying. I think experience matters, and I think it matters a lot too. I mean, let's just be frank here. Calipari is a very overrated coach, and that's just plain and simple. You get that money, you get a program like Kentucky where you're expected to win the national title every single year. You're going to have all the tools in place at your disposal to win a national title every year. And he's only won one in his tenure. I mean, it's really bad. And I think he's going to get canned, which is
yeah,
insane because they basically gave him a lifetime contract. It's like through 2029 or something like that. Like it's just insane. And I'm just telling you, they take it very seriously down there, probably the most serious out of anybody in the nation. They do not want to be talking going into next year thinking about Coach Calipari on the sideline. The problem is who do you get? Pat Kelsey, sorry.
Right.
The Charleston coach, you want him to go and sit, like, I mean, I think he's going to be a good coach and everything, but like, you don't have time. You have to win right now. And
What about Patino?
I don't, maybe.
Would he do that?
I don't think so.
That'd be a real dagger.
I don't think so. He might. I don't think so, though. I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah. I don't see him moving on from him, but I hope I'm wrong, to be honest. I mean, I think he should be gone. How about Drake in Washington State? Drake with another heartbreaking loss on
Yeah.
Thursday late. Had a chance to win the ball game against Wazoo. I mean, we ended up being on the right side. Ray, I don't know if you ended up being on Drake, but we kind of just, I guess, for lack of better reason, we just figured everybody was on Drake and it didn't seem right. So, but Drake, I mean, a meltdown in the last 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are right. I think that's kind of what I was gonna say is Drake turned into like the way too kind of public pick. Not that that's the end all be all, but
Right.
Yeah.
that's kind of how it played out. But yeah, you're right. I'm looking right now. Drake led by they were up 8 with 6 minutes left. I mean, same kind of story as last year. They just faltered late. This was a good free throw shooting team, and they did not shoot free throws well late,
Yeah.
which really bit them. Yeah, 36th in the nation in free throw percentage this year. So kind of a really, really bad time to tighten up. But yeah, I was on Drake. I actually I had Drake in my Elite Eight. I had them taking down Iowa State next and then making a run. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think you guys were spot on there. I think they turned out to be a pretty public side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we well that was our Voyage consensus bracket, which
Right.
also is doing just horrible.
Yeah.
We had Drake into the Elite Eight as well. So that's on us. Their head coach is gone. He's going to West Virginia.
Yeah.
Yeah, how much of that is on not to get on my soapbox. I did take Drake and I loved him. John talked me into him on the episode last week on the preview. Especially with Tucker DeVries being the best player on the court in any game that's ever played. He underperformed so much. This was one of his lowest season totals for points. Did he just the bright lights got to him? Is that what did Drake in, or was this Wazoo team that much better than them?
I
I
think,
wouldn't say go ahead, Johnny.
well, I think that he definitely was the best player on the floor. The thing about this team was I liked him initially a lot because of that reason. I think DeVries is a good coach. And then I thought about it the day of, and it's like I did say this on the show. This is not one of Drake's best teams. The last 2 years they had better rosters than this team. They had to kind of figure it out a little bit in the year. And so that's why I felt like there was way too many people that liked Drake, I think just because it was sexy and cute and like one of those little doodle dog deals. And Washington State was a good team. They beat good teams. They beat Arizona, I think, twice, maybe. So yeah, I mean that
Yeah,
was my on
they
that.
couldn't scheme Tucker DeVries open. I mean, he
No.
made one 3-point attempt, and yeah, Washington State was long. They competed against Iowa State for most of the game too until they faded late and ended up not
Yes.
covering much to my chagrin. But yeah, I mean they're a tough team. The Pac-12 performed well
Yes.
Yeah,
all
no,
weekend long. So
absolutely no bias here, but I think the Sycamores could have probably taken down Wazoo.
Dude,
They're throttling through the NIT right now.
I was just about to say that hindsight's 2020, but the way that Indiana State's playing in the NIT, I completely agree.
I'm telling you, they're the best team in the country who's not in the tournament.
Honestly, I
That's
agree at this point.
MVC is a 2-bid conference minimum.
well, everyone's still talking about the Big East is undefeated in the tournament so far, and well
Yeah.
the teams that were supposed to make it in from the Big East also shat the bed in the NIT. So there's that.
Well, I think
Yeah.
that's just the Big East argument now. It's like you got to stop with that one because look at those three teams. It's UConn, Marquette, and Creighton. That
Correct.
should be a shock to anybody that they made it that far. The
Creighton
ACC,
should be out, arguably.
what's that?
Creighton should be out by now, arguably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, right. But the ACC is the one that is puffing their chest a little bit right now. This is 2 years in a row. We just give up on the ACC, a conference that I don't feel like is doing very healthy as a whole, and they come out and play well. I mean, Clemson, who'd have thunk?
Right.
Not me.
Let's get to Friday now, and let's talk about what happened on Friday. Northwestern FAU started the day off overtime. Boo Booey ended up getting it done in over. They faded. They let FAU get a chance back in this game, but they ended up just being too much for FAU. That was a fantastic game. San Diego State in a tight one against UAB. They finally ended up winning. UAB covers, and then the Colorado Florida game was crazy. 202 points scored.
I think that's the best game of the tournament so far.
Walter Clayton has absolute onions. That shot was huge to tie it, but then Simpson just comes down and hits a dagger at the end too.
It was a great game.
I mean, Charleston, Bama, 205 points scored. Charleston, I mean, this is just another thing that you guys have been saying all years. Bama doesn't play good defense, and they let Charleston in it because they did not play defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they covered.
Yeah.
Yeah, Charleston, I don't know, honestly, after the first 10 minutes or so, I actually don't know if they were ever covering. Like, they kind of made it a game late, but Bama dominated that game.
Yeah.
Friday was just a day of dominating performances across the board. I mean, we had Yale, Auburn, but other than that, I guess San Diego State let UAB back in, and then Colorado, Florida. But other than that, it was just like pretty dominant wins.
Vermont
What?
didn't stand a chance.
Can somebody tell me what in the world happened with Auburn down the stretch?
To be honest with you, I think that one might have been going on around the time of the Lobo game, so I didn't actually have eyes on it most of the time. But from what I'm hearing, is it sound like they just tried to have Janai Broom do everything towards the end and couldn't get it done.
They had foul trouble too, and then it was very poetic that KD Johnson comes down, jumps in the air, pump fakes 7 times, and shoots off the backboard to end Auburn's season and his career.
Yeah, it just was weird to me though, because the foul trouble I think was huge. I kept looking up and Yale was just at the free throw line, and all of a sudden an 8-point lead dried up, and it was all of a sudden a tie ball game, and it just was almost like Auburn took their foot off the gas, so to speak. I don't know if it was another tired leg situation or what, but yeah. And then other than that, you're right. Dominance across the board. I mean, Houston, as we predicted, Longwood couldn't score the basketball. James Madison throttled Wisconsin. Wisconsin never showed up. Utah State throttled TCU. Grand Canyon, I mean, steamrolled St. Mary's. Kind of surprising. I think they pretty much led the whole game too, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then Baylor, Connecticut, Nebraska didn't show up really either.
No.
And Vermont didn't show up. It was kind of chalky.
Ray called this the A&M game. He said that's a sexy pick, and he was right. And I was not expecting them to throttle Nebraska by 15. That was insane, because that was close down the stretch, like with 10 minutes left or so in the second. I thought that game was pretty close at one point.
No, I think it was close-ish in the first half. I mean, A&M was up 14 at halftime, and it never got much closer than that.
Yeah,
I'm mistaken then.
Actually, Nebraska was up 20 to 13 early. Yep, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, we saw it against Houston last night. Like, that A&M team plays super physical. They're fantastic on the glass, and then like you just have to have a good Wade Taylor game. But I mean, we'll get into the game last night, but they
Right.
obviously have some other scoring options.
Anything else about the Friday slate? Well, actually, I do want to say Purdue minus 27.5 was never in doubt. That it only needed a 3-point meaningless 3-pointer late to cover that spread. Which is just also crazy too that everybody's talking about it now, but Grambling put up a better fight against Purdue than Utah State did. So
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
I think one
Anything
thing I
else
want
on
to
the
add,
Friday?
yeah, I want to talk about one thing. The 5-12 games, the upsets, James Madison over Wisconsin and Grand Canyon over St. Mary's. Was that surprising at all?
I don't think it was at all.
I
I
don't,
I honestly was kind of surprised about James Madison. Um, I thought they would be kind of like the trendy, like
yeah,
kind of riding the wave from their early win over Michigan State. They lost 3 games in conference, so it's like clearly they're mortal. I didn't know that they were going to come in and just impose their will and be the more physical team. Um,
right.
Disappointing effort from Wisconsin in that regard, but I do have to hand it to James Madison. I mean, like I said, they came in and dominated. So I was actually kind of surprised by that. I thought Wisconsin would put up more of a fight, but um, not really surprised by Grand Canyon. I mean, they have long, big physical guards. They rebound the crap out of the ball, and they have super
Yeah.
long guys in the post too. I think it's Luke Wurr and then McLaughlin. Like those guys can bang, man. And I don't think St. Mary's is kind of the same thing. I don't think St. Mary's was ready for that physicality.
Yeah,
I thought it was like
JMU. Go ahead, John.
I just thought it was like two similar games to in that regard,
Yes.
where it was two of highly regarded teams, and then they're gonna play these low mid-major teams, but they're those mid-major teams are just as talented and more physical, way more physical.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
mean, what, JMU and I think the Lopes, both 30 plus win teams. I was on the Badgers. I thought that they were starting to get impressive as we got into like Big Ten play, like the end of the season in the tournament. I took the casual route and, I think it was like 80% of everything was on JMU. So I tried to go against it there. And I
Yeah.
don't know, the Lopes are impressive. It's just kind of funny, all the casuals finding out about Grand Canyon. I think, were they a tournament team last year or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, last year.
Uh, yeah, I mean all all the casuals, they're like Grand Canyon can't be a real place. Like look at the pregame against St. Mary's and Bama, like their student section was out there telling them to miss their layups and stuff like that, like hours before the game,
Right.
which was nuts. It's a for-profit university. You can trade them on the NASDAQ. It's
It's
just
a scam.
it's nutty
Yeah.
stuff. It's nutty stuff. But they're good at hoops, and I think you and Ray were dogging them all year. Just their student section, watching the live or the games and stuff. Just like, who the hell are these people?
They're
Well,
BYU adjacent in
Yes,
yes.
that regard.
They're culty.
they
No,
are.
Yeah.
it's a weird thing, but
I hear terrible environment on campus. I had a buddy get kicked out of there.
You know what I will say is I think that why wouldn't Grand Canyon join the Mountain West, and why wouldn't James Madison join the ACC?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I would love to have Grand Canyon in the Mountain West. I think it would bring that conference up another notch. And they're kind of not really coasting through the whack. I mean, they got tested a little bit, but they're definitely the cream of the crop.
all right,
And
let's get
JMU and
into
JMU and the ACC would be sweet.
Yes.
yeah, I think so too. And I think they're putting both of those institutions are putting, you can say what you want about them, but they're putting a ton of money into their athletic programs.
Correct.
And it's shown on the, James Madison on the football field as well for them too. So,
Yep.
um, let's get into Saturday. All chalk on Saturday, I guess, except for Gonzaga beating Kansas, but they were the lower, or they were favored in the game, but they were the
Yep.
lower seed. They're the only lower seed that won on Saturday. Other than that, it was pretty much chalk. We had a good ball game between North Carolina State and Oakland. Incredible game late between Creighton and Oregon. Um,
That
but
one
I
hurt.
mean, yeah. Um, Any thoughts initially, right off the bat here?
Kansas was limping their way into the tournament,
Yeah.
literally, and you just knew Gonzaga was going to win this game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and how about the quote from Self after?
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't know the context behind it. I'm sure there's like some more than surface level, but to say, he's been thinking about next season for the past month, it's not really what you want to hear after a tournament loss.
No.
No. No, I didn't have the cojones to go on the Zags, but I mean the eye test there, especially after Kansas kind of struggling against Samford,
Right.
like that line was so short, and the Zags, I'll eat my tongue. And I think I said this at the beginning. I said I'm on the Zags a little bit this year. At least in the tournament, they're not going to fade out and Purdue. So two teams I hate. But I mean 3.5 points, 4 points, like that
Right.
was that never sniffed a chance. The only game that was kind of surprising to me, and I know a 1 versus 9 seed was how well the Tar Heels handled Izzo and the Spartans. That game like didn't seem like that ever had a chance, but I was just kind of surprised by that. Especially you'd think that the Spartans would be riding high after their first round win, but I guess not.
I think it's just how legitimate North Carolina is. That game got a little bit tight down the stretch. It got a little bit hairy. I think Michigan State brought it within the number at one point as well too, and then it just got out of hand. Um, I mean, North Carolina just kind of asserted their will. Michigan State didn't do enough, in that game to keep it close.
Right.
I took Gonzaga live when Kansas kind of came out hot. They were, it was a close game at the half. I think they were winning at the half. It just was exactly what we talked about this Kansas team all year. That no depth, no depth
Yes.
whatsoever. Um, I backed several dogs on Saturday, and I backed Washington State too. Um, Spread and money line, and that just floundered late. They just couldn't hit enough shots, down the stretch. Iowa State kind of extended it out. Texas and Tennessee was a great game. I mean, Tennessee kind of dominated, and it was kind of a rock fight early. Um, Really kind of an ugly basketball game. I didn't
This
really
is
know what I
great.
was watching. Both teams were turning it over. Tennessee kind of took a lead late. Dalton Connect wasn't playing well at all. He kind of found some shots down the stretch, but Texas had a chance to win that ball game. And I was on Texas as well too there, but yeah, I mean, Creighton and Oregon was insane. And if you're on either side of those, I mean, if you were on Creighton, you were elated, but Oregon was an absolute heartbreaker, double OT.
I don't know if you guys were in the air during that one or had a chance to look into it, but outside of a Jadrian Tracy made tip shot in overtime, Nafali Dante and Jermaine Cuisinart were the
Yeah.
only two that scored for Oregon in the second half in overtime.
That's
That's
insane.
insane. That is nuts.
What? The
Yeah.
second half and both overtimes?
They got 2 points from a Jadrian Tracy tip in, and that was
Oh
it.
my God.
Those guys carried them.
And even in the first half, it was like sprinkled. Like couple guys had 4 points, but they had like it was insane.
So the team scored 73. They had 13 outside of those two, six from Tracy and seven from Shelstad. And Shelstad got hurt in like the second half. So, I mean, to
Crazy.
just ride two guys like that
Right.
and take it to double OT is pretty nuts.
That was a killer for me. I really wanted Oregon to win that game, but whatever. I
Yep.
didn't.
Sunday, I took all the dogs. I took all the dogs yesterday. Every single one. And yes, that means Northwestern, and yes, that means Yale, and yes, that means Grand Canyon, and all the rest that ended up looking pretty terrible. James Madison, yep, I was on him. Yep. It was a bad day yesterday. Um
Harry
Colorado came out.
yesterday.
Yeah. Colorado came out looking nice. They kept it close. That was probably, the most competitive game of the day. Baylor tried to make it interesting against Clemson. Well, I shouldn't say this at all. The most interesting game of the day yesterday was Houston and Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Just a fantastic game. It ended up going to overtime. Houston led an 8-point lead, I think, or they were up by 10 or 12 actually. Late.
Yep.
Were they up 10 with a minute to go or something like
Or
that?
I
something like
think they're
that.
up 11.
Yeah, with like a minute
They were
30.
up 11 with a minute 25.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then
Crazy.
they turned the ball over. They didn't hit free throws. Texas A&M was hitting crazy shots.
Yeah.
Three
Um,
guys fouled, three, I think, starters fouled out for Houston, which is the
that's
first
right.
time that's happened in, like, I don't know the stat, but a really long time.
Program
Yeah.
history.
And it felt like in that game, like down 11 with a minute 30 against Houston, it feels like you're down 30.
Correct.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like a 10-point lead, that's what made it so crazy. And they somehow found a way. I mean, Texas A&M, it should have been even a little bit closer, if I'm being honest. There were a couple of 3-point shots where feet were just on the line. Yeah, but just an insane game.
Well, A&M was horrible from the free throw line. They were 29 of 45. They left 16 points out there.
You
Yeah,
know
they
what
couldn't
was
shoot free throws.
you know what was bad vibes was Buzz Williams not wearing a suit in both rounds. I just
Yeah,
don't know what happened there.
I didn't like,
Mhm.
dude. What? How does he drop a ball that bad?
He
He
must
in
have
the
left it
Sweet
at the
16
laundromat. I don't know.
could have been.
So his assistant just dropped the ball, left it at the dry cleaners before they left College Station. That's
Yeah.
disgusting. It can't happen.
The GA missed the trip. He also had the suit.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, guys, it was chalk. And, everybody's going to be talking about this Sweet 16 is chalk. We're going to get into these matchups, but I will say what it has provided you here as we go into this weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday with the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 is some incredible matchups.
That's
Uh,
right.
I mean, there are a ton of very high quality teams here that kind of just took care of business. And we said it early. We kind of backtracked after conference tournament weekend and said, hey, there might be some sleepers here and there might be some madness. But um, I mean, a lot of chalk, and I know it's going to be overplayed. Everyone's talking about it, but really just a bunch of teams asserting their dominance. You talk about a JMU team who we said was very physical in the first round. They look like the complete opposite of that against Duke. And maybe that was a situation where Duke, failed with their physicality last year against Tennessee, and they came out and just kind of wanted to flex their muscle a little bit here. I also want to say this. I truly believe that UConn players bet on themselves minus 13 and a half or minus 14 because that game was close late. Northwestern got it to a 16-point game, I think, with like a minute 25 left, and they're like, okay, they have a chance here to cover this spread. And then
I
it
just
just
think I think they just want to bury you into an absolute oblivion, and they do not care what the score
right.
is. They want to
Yeah.
suck the will right out of you.
Yeah. That's
Anyways,
I'm curious in terms of strategy for the Sweet 16. I don't know if you guys saw the stat, but the public was 38 and 13 against the spread in the opening two rounds. Vegas got absolutely taken to the cleaners. So
Yeah.
I wonder if you just have to be contrarian and if that's the strategy going into the Sweet 16.
Well, let's talk about it.
yeah, let's talk about it. That is my strategy, and we're going to start with Thursday, the matchups on Thursday. I'm telling you right now, I already tweeted about this. I'm taking San Diego State. I don't care. I'm sick of hearing about UConn. I'm sick of them sucking the will out of teams. I don't think they can do it against San Diego State. I'm sick of the woe is me from UConn. Oh, wait, give us this tough path. It's just like, no, you're playing in fucking Boston and wherever the hell they played this past weekend. It's just like, I don't know, man. They're finding motivation in different ways, and I guess I got to give them some credit for that. I just don't think this San Diego State's going to be a pushover like that. They're going to come in here. They're going to match UConn's physicality as much as they can, as long as they don't get into foul trouble, and as long as they can still get the ball to Jaden Ledee and execute things the way they have been and the way they want to. I truly think San Diego State can make this a game, and 11 points is a ton. I am taking it, and we are getting a live caller, so I'm going to go to that.
Oh, wow.
Hello, you are now live on the Voyage College Basketball
Should
live
be.
stream. What can I do for you?
Hey, good evening. First off, thank you to Don't Bet Bad Clubs for the Chris Dittman content this past weekend. Thoroughly enjoyed that content. I'm not a bettor, but I would say I'd take UConn Houston in the final, although I'm rooting for the Big Ten clubs. And then lastly, what's next for Richard down at Albuquerque, and which Pitino will have a better club next season?
All right, that's very interesting. Thank you. We will address those questions. Houston and UConn seem like the trendy picks at this point, right? I mean, everybody thinks Houston and UConn, they'd love to see that matchup in the national title. I get it. I mean, who doesn't want to see that, right?
Right. Well, should we address the caller here? I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. I think Rick Pitino is going to have the better team.
But where?
Senior.
Yeah, but at
yeah,
what school?
is he going to be at St. John still?
It doesn't matter. That wasn't the question. The question was
Yeah.
who can have a better season.
On paper, that's probably the safe bet. Yeah, I think his name carries a little more weight as far as recruiting and stuff. I think one of the questions that the caller posed was, will Richard Pitino even be in Albuquerque again? I believe he will. I kind of think he almost coached his way out of a bigger job in the tournament. I know
Yeah.
he recently signed an extension. So I think he's going to run it back next year. I think a tournament win on his resume would go a long way as far as taking that next step into a larger program, and that's something that he hasn't achieved at UNM. So I think that the Lobos will be seeing Richard Pitino again next year.
How old's Dick?
Senior?
No, junior.
38.
Is
Well,
he maybe
40?
looking to go off in the sunset, take a step back to a smaller program, maybe head to Las Cruces and write the Aggies?
Shut the hell up. There's zero chance of that happening. And here's the deal. Richard Pitino loves what he has in New Mexico because he's got a team that's highly competitive, a program that cares in a very good conference. And I think they're going to reload. I think they're going to be able to get a couple pieces out of the transfer portal. That's going to help them. Jamal Mashburn is gone. Hopefully Donovan Dent stays with the club. Hopefully JT Toppin stays with the club. I think they both will. My optimistic outlook and perspective is that they both will. But listen, Richard Pitino is still going to be the head coach of the Lobos next season. I think they have some good pieces here already to build on, and I don't know. I'm excited to see how they reload in the portal.
Now, before we move on, I'm just curious here. What's the vibe going on with Lobo fans towards Richard Pitino? We okay with them? We're still optimistic? Are we a little bit like, is he a winner? Is there any of that going on?
There's a couple of different perspectives, I think, and I think the more casual fan and the more casual perspective is, hey, this guy collapsed again in March. He did it with the Gophers.
Yeah.
What are we to expect here? We're never going to get it done in the tournament. This guy can't get us over the hump, et cetera, et cetera. I think Lobo Nation needs to take a step back and take this for what it's worth and look at it as this guy just brought the team back from the depths in a few short seasons. We just made our first NCAA tournament appearance since 2014. And I think they have a lot of building blocks here to move forward with. I think they're front runners going into the Mountain West next year. And so I think it's a very casual take to say that Richard Pitino is not a winner, et cetera, et cetera. But there has been some of that. There has been some of that in the local media. But I think for the most part, the people who get it are satisfied with the way the season went. Obviously disappointed about the result last weekend, but excited about the future and happy with where this program is at this point in time.
And I'm also willing to give him sort of like almost the benefit of the doubt. I'm excited to see what he does with newcomers. Mash obviously came with him from Minnesota, very loyal to each other. Mash never hesitated to come to New Mexico when Richard Pitino came. Richard Pitino always gave Mash the green light, and that was apparent even when Mash was running cold, not hitting shots. But also Jalen House; those were the leaders of this team for the past 3 seasons. They're both gone now with Mash entering the portal and House no eligibility left. So I am willing to give. I'm excited to see what Patino does with some new faces, but also a good young core in Dent and Toppin if they stay, and True and some of those other key contributors. So I agree with Cam. I think the casual take is all the same old Lobos. This guy can't get it done when it matters, but I'm excited to see what this team looks like next year. It'll be a fun off season, maybe, or it could be really, really depressing.
Yeah. All right, let's get back into the talk here on the Thursday slate. So I'm telling you, I'm already on San Diego State plus 11, and I'm on the money line. I don't care. So tell me why I'm wrong, Johnny.
Because UConn might be the best team in the entire nation. That's
Might
why
be
you
the first
could
team to
be
go
wrong.
back to back since 2005.
San Diego State might have used up all of their 3-pointers last game, shooting 13 of 27.
They might be shooting blanks in this game. Listen,
Seeing ghosts.
Yep. But for all the reasons that you guys are telling me, it makes me even like it more. San Diego State goes from Spokane. They're going back to San Diego for a couple days. They got Thursday early on the East Coast in Boston. All odds stacked against them. Why not? Why not? Listen, maybe I'm just riding my. We're getting another call here, so I'm going to go to the phone lines again.
It sounds like there's nothing we could say that could talk Erickson off of this pick.
Maybe it's just because the success I had last year against Alabama that I'm still holding on to that. Let's go to the phone lines.
Okay.
Hello there. You are now on Voyage College Basketball Live Show. What can I do for you?
Hey, I just want to say I love the content, but I got a question for you guys. Who do you think, which team would win, Ben Johnson's or Dick Pitino's? And then if the best wide receiver of all time were to play in NCAA, would he play for Dick Sr. or Dick Jr.?
All right, thank you. We will address. Okay, those are some slapdick questions, but
Well, I mean, listen,
I don't even know.
After watching that first round game, who knows? Who knows what the Mexico team comes out and plays? They could beat them by 20. They could lose by 20. I have no idea.
Minnesota lost on the road against Goggles in the NIT.
True.
So
True.
against Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So there's that as well too. So
Right.
I don't know. Ben Johnson's got his program heading in the right direction. We'll see. And if the best wide receiver in the world played, we're talking if Justin Jefferson was out on the court balling. I don't know what the caller's question was. Was it who would he play for, Richard Jr. or Richard Sr.?
I couldn't hear him. I didn't know he said wide receiver, but he did say Dick Jr. or Dick.
He'd probably like to play for Richard Pitino instead because he doesn't want to be coached by like Justin Jefferson doesn't need to be out there. He's gonna want to go off and do his thing.
I thought he was asking about DJ Moore, but
it's a really stupid question. There's no question about it. In fact, I don't even know how somebody comes up with this scenario in their head. It's that bizarre. But if I had to guess, gun to my head, I'm gonna go with I think Dick Senior, because I think he could get more money there.
Yeah.
But can we move on now?
Okay, so you guys are all on UConn?
Yeah.
Yep, I'm sold.
Okay. Right. Good. I like the Aztecs. Clemson and Arizona. All right. This is an interesting matchup. Clemson's getting 7.5 points. Arizona's been playing pretty solid. I mean, they let Dayton back into that one briefly, but I mean, Caleb Love has been playing efficiently, shooting the ball well. They're all shooting the ball well. Um, Ballo's been dominant in the paint. I think they've been, um, I mean, they've just been dominant in the first two rounds,
They played all right.
to put it frankly. So what, but you know, Clemson's played well too, and their guards are playing it nicely. Um, they're playing some pretty good defense. This one's going to be played out in LA, so less travel for Arizona. But what are your initial thoughts on this matchup, Johnny?
The initial thoughts is you take Clemson plus 7.5. Everybody's going to be on Arizona. Everybody's going to overrate Arizona because they made it to a Sweet 16. They think they're playing really good basketball. I think my gut would tell me to take Clemson. I'm going to stay away in this game because I feel like this is might not be the opportunity to fade Arizona. Um, but Clemson can win this game. I believe that.
I think
Just talk.
Clemson can win this game too. It's just, oh, it just hurts. I've been trying to fade Arizona all tournament, and it hasn't worked out so far. But obviously, this is their toughest test.
Yeah,
Right.
talking about that fading the public strategy in this next round, all the public money is on Clemson. So is that of
Really?
concern? Is that of concern?
It is of concern to me because I think that number indicates it's probably going to become the public side and stay the public side throughout the course of the week. Um,
Get a late
you might.
push on sharps.
I would be really pissed off if Arizona won the tournament. I'm just going to say that right now.
I
Me
don't think
too.
there's a chance. I don't think there's a
I
chance of
don't
that.
think so either.
UConn's going to stop them before, not San Diego State, UConn. But yeah, I don't know. 70% of everything is on Clemson money line and spread. So
Yeah. I mean, there's better games to talk about this one. We don't need to try to pull out some
Okay.
games on this game.
I think
Okay. How about,
Alabama's going to get drubbed.
all right, Alabama's plus 4.5. UNC's been playing great ball. Alabama, you know, scoring a ton of points. They got into a little bit of a sloppy one against Grand Canyon. Um, I, I don't know where. Listen, here's the deal. Okay, I'm just gonna say this, and you guys take it from here on this game. But I just want to tell you, anybody who's listening to this, if you plan on betting in the Sweet 16, this is where the men separate themselves from the boys. You have to have nuts of steel to back any of these sides here. These are very sharp spreads. 4.5 Alabama. What do we think?
I mean, I'm all over the Tar Heels here, but it's again concerning because 99% of the public is on the Tar Heels. So I don't think Vegas can eat that,
Give me
right? So
Bama.
then
I think the talent is even. I think any given day, why couldn't Bama beat UNC?
I think
they don't
Bama
play
can score
defense.
100 points.
You don't think Bama can score 100 points?
I think Bama can score 100 points in this game,
Okay.
and they could win, and
Right.
they
So
can
then
move
you're
on to the Elite Eight.
then plus 4.5 looks good. But I don't have a real feel here. Ray, do you have something in this game?
Um, I think I like UNC. I think Bama is going to kind of attract this narrative that they've figured out their defense because Grand Canyon was kicking the ball all over themselves the other night, and I think that's going to kind of become the public sentiment. But I think that this North Carolina team is really structured. I think they have scores all over the court. I think it's going to be hard for Alabama to defend them, both in transition and in the half court. Now, granted, Alabama can get hot at any time, and we know that. But yeah, I actually think that North Carolina is going to control this game and assert their dominance and play like the one seed that they are.
Ray, what
Yeah.
about the over in this game? 173.5.
Yeah, I like it.
Wow.
You
Yeah, I do
have to
too.
play. Yeah, you have to play that.
Um, the last game of the night on Thursday is probably the most intriguing to me. It's the Illini against the Cyclones, and this Illinois team is I think the top rated overall offense in the nation right now, and Iowa State is the second rated defense in the nation. So this is where rubber meets the road. Terrence Shannon is scoring a ball at an incredible clip, probably the best scorer in the tournament right now. The spread in this one is 2 points. Illinois is getting 2 points against Iowa. This one's played out in Boston as well too. I kind of want to back Illinois. I
Yeah.
think they
Oh,
have more
absolutely.
playmakers. Yeah.
Absolutely love Illinois there. They have more playmakers. I think the Iowa State team, that offense can just go stagnant at any point in the game.
Yeah, and I don't think it matters necessarily the defense. Like you have to score against Illinois because I just feel like they have two guys. I mean, if it was just Marcus Damask and it was just Terrence Shannon, you could stop one of them, sure, but I don't think you can stop both of them. Not to mention Terrence Shannon, how dynamic he is in the full court. Damask is a throwback. He'll back his way all the way down to the block as a point guard and take a shot, a high percentage shot, or get to the line. I think this is Illinois all the way.
See, I'm going the other way here. I think, time and time again, we've seen a sexy offense that scores a lot. They sell tickets. Defense wins championships. I think the Cyclones being one of the best defenses in the country that really slows down a guy like Damask. I actually saw an interesting prop of Damask under 16 and a half points because the Cyclones are the 10th best team for opponent 2-point percentage, and Damask scores 71% of his points inside the arc. He's not that good of a 3-point shooter. So I think that's, you guys kind of talking about the mask being one of the key factors here. I think maybe ISU slows him down and then it's the Shannon show and see if he can do it on his own. I think they're really going to hone it on him. And I think Iowa State, the Cyclones, they've got a great defense.
If that becomes the case, then it's problematic for Illinois.
Right.
I think Illinois needs to be able to make passes, create assists, create lanes. It can't just be Terrence Shannon driving it into a gridlock. I mean, that's obviously not going to be a successful strategy there. So it can come down to coaching here. I don't know. I like Illinois. I like the way they're playing. Iowa State's obviously been playing great too, but I think Johnny, you hit the nail on the head. You have to be able to score against this Illinois team, and if Iowa State goes into any sort of a rut offensively, I think Illinois can play decent enough defense to make them struggle a little bit here. And if they grab any sort of a lead, it could get dicey for Iowa State.
And that's just it. People just quickly will say, well, it's the offense and the defense thing, which is totally true. But then you immediately forget that Terrence Shannon's one of the best perimeter defenders in the entire nation. So who's worst is better in a way, right?
Yeah.
Right. Let's go on to Friday then. And the first game on Friday is going to be in Dallas between North Carolina State and Marquette. North Carolina State, the highest remaining seed in the thing, getting 6.5 points against Marquette, who is playing probably their best ball of the year as well too. Um, I don't know
Marquette
where to go.
rolls.
Marquette rolls.
Yep. I think they roll.
NC State runs out of road.
Story, but come on.
Oh man, this is the point where I start like I don't know if it's too cute, but like I almost think that what NC State has going right now is real. I kind of want to back the pack.
Oh, this
Because you
is a
know
tough.
the last team to win 5 straight or something like that was that Shabazz Napier Yukon team.
Hmm.
And, they went on to win it all. So yeah, that is a fear of mine in this game, but I'm not going to overthink it. I like Marquette.
Who can Marquette? Who's going to be able to slow down Burns inside?
Who's their big guy? What's his name? You trying to you want me to give name drops right now?
Iguodaro.
Yes, he's a great player.
I'm just saying, can he do it? Like,
Yeah, he's longer. I think he's
okay,
longer and more athletic. He's an
yeah.
elite defender.
Oh, man, I wish I had something more to say on this game, but I just don't. It's kind of just a feel thing. I love the way Marquette's playing. I think Marquette is legitimate. I think they have a chance to win it all. I think they're that good. But the way that North Carolina State is playing, it's almost like It feels to me a little bit kind of like Colorado against Marquette, where they could keep it close. And then a ball bounces away a few certain times, and all of a sudden, Marquette wins by 5, and you cover the spread.
Sure.
But I like Marquette. The next one, Gonzaga and Purdue. Everyone's going to be on Purdue, and for those reasons, I like Gonzaga.
I'm not going to play this one because I have a Purdue future to win the whole damn thing.
So do
What
I.
what I will say is this is the one that scares me the most.
Graham Ike.
Graham Ike. The problem, here's the thing. I think Graham Ike could foul out in 3 minutes. He fouls. That dude is a hack. And he's going up against Zach Edey. I mean, I'm not kidding. He could foul out in 2 minutes, and then Mark Few's left there with his pants down at midcourt.
Fans throwing trash on the court.
Right.
Well,
Right.
so these two teams did meet in Maui.
That's
Yep.
right. This
Purdue
whole
won
region
by
is
10.
Maui. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Purdue won by 10. Gonzaga was 6 of 32 from 3. Purdue was only 4 of 17. It's a pretty evenly matched game. Obviously, Purdue got to the line a little bit more, but in all other categories, this was a very even game. So I think, unfortunately, we say this a lot with Purdue, but I think it will kind of depend on how Edey's officiated. But
Yeah.
5.5 is right in that kind of no man's land. It's, late free throws could push that one either way, and you might end up hoping for a meaningless shot from Gonzaga at the buzzer unless Gonzaga controls the game and is in it late.
I think Purdue is going to travel much better than the Zags, with this being played in Detroit, which also phenomenal place for a Sweet 16 game. Nowhere else better must have been open for big tournament or something like that. But yeah, I think Purdue's going to travel better. I think that's going to play a large factor.
I think that's a good point. I think the thing that worries me in this game a little bit is, as Ray mentioned, they played in Maui. Obviously Purdue won that game. I feel like from the time I watched Purdue at that point to the time I watch them now, they're maybe a little bit better, if not the same. Gonzaga, however, is way better.
Yeah.
Than they were then. And that's what's scary in this game. I just have a question for you, like, guys. Do you guys think like Zach Edey, can two things be true? Can he be a good basketball player and can he also be like extremely boring?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm sick of watching him, but it's absolutely insane what's happening right now.
Just bet on him and he's so fun to watch. I feel like I hardly find myself betting on Purdue, I guess. And I bet on him in the last round, and it was awesome, dude. You're getting every call. He makes his free throws. Every time he shoots, it's going in. It's one of the best things to watch.
I mean, who else is that boring in recent history?
Say that again?
Who else is like similar to that in recent
Nobody.
history?
Nobody.
Tyler Hansbrough?
No.
No.
Not even close.
No Psycho T action there?
We've never
Taco
seen a
Fall?
guy like Zach Edey. No.
Zach
not
Edey doesn't even hustle.
No.
Zach
It takes
Edey's
him 10 minutes to get up and down the court.
he's a far better basketball player than Taco Fall.
Oh, yeah. But
He's one of the best college basketball players we've ever seen.
Yeah, that's probably a fact.
But he's also boring as hell. And
yes.
it's bad for the game. So
that spread is so sharp, dude.
I know.
I can't believe it. You're right about Gonzaga being a much different team than the team that played Purdue and Maui. But Purdue's really coming into their own. I mean, I think two things can also be true in that Utah State's actually a pretty good team, and Purdue just absolutely dominated them at playing the best game of their year. We got a caller.
Oh, great.
Hello, you are now live on Voyage College Basketball Podcast. What can I do for you?
Hey, big Dick Pitino fan here. Loving your boys' slapdick content. I was betting on the real tournament today. Ole Miss versus Notre Dame, and I lost some big money. I was wondering what you guys' advice on the real tournament going forward. The real ball, women's ball.
I didn't know if you were talking women's ball or the NIT because, to be honest, I am not paying attention to that one bit. But we will
That's what we're getting right now.
we'll address that. We'll address that. There's some people saying the same thing, so I think that's valid. Um, listen, I'm not tuning into the women's game until they lower the rim, so that's just the way it is.
I will say, I am sharp in the women's bracket right now. My building that I live in was giving out rent concession for top brackets, and I'm in second place right now. I had a perfect bracket through the first two rounds. Perfect bracket on the women's side through the first
Yeah,
two
but
rounds
that's
because
because
you
like
just
it
take
was
the
all
higher seed.
chalk. It
You
was
just
all
take the higher
chalk.
seed.
There's 2.5 rounds maybe in that tournament. Yeah, Erickson brings up a good point. Lower the rims, maybe make them a little bit wider, but that's besides the point. I
There
think
was a
that
team favored by 55 in that tournament.
right.
Yes. And they
And
covered, I
here,
think.
yes, and
No,
here's the thing about the women's game. I think it's great that the sport's doing awesome. And the problem is we're really bad handicappers where we think we're really good, but there's probably a lot of value in the women's game that we are just not finding because we're stubborn.
I mean, yeah, like there's like a 55-point spread. Basically, you just throw everyone on the money line that's favored in every game, and you're probably going to hit that parlay. There's such a talent disparity. I mean, when's the last time a men's team has gone undefeated and won the championship?
Indiana, I believe.
no, Kentucky,
How
right?
long ago?
Which Kentucky team?
With Anthony
How long ago?
Davis and Cat. I believe that team went undefeated. I think.
Okay, so that was like 10 years ago.
Okay, so let's think about, I believe it's the Yukon Lady Huskies. They won like 4 years in a row, didn't lose a game in 4 years.
Yeah, that's a
Is
great
that not
that's
talent disparity?
that's awesome, but can we get back onto these next two games because they're
That
my
yeah.
favorite games of the Sweet
Yeah, no,
16,
I like Houston.
please?
I okay, so Houston and Duke. Houston -4.5. This one's in Dallas. I love Houston. I'm gonna hammer Houston. I think that this is this is an opportunity for you right here. I think you should probably play it early, soonish. Um, because I think it could get out of hand. I think everybody is gonna hammer Houston. I think this is where the public wins, though. This is Houston. Um, this is Houston all day. They're gonna take it to Duke. They're gonna be the more physical team. I think they're playing with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder too. Um, I love Houston.
It kind of scares me though. It kind of scares me how much I love it, considering I did not think the Aggies were going to make it close yesterday. Like if you match up Duke versus A&M, who's favored in that matchup? Would you take Duke? And the Aggies just
Yeah.
gave Houston a scare. That's the only thing that's going through my brain.
So I'll tell you, in my bracket, I had A&M winning last night, and then I had Duke beating A&M to go to the Elite Eight. So I mean, A&M and Houston are really similar teams. One thing about Houston that's doesn't really like kind of pass the smell test, but it's what the numbers say. Houston's not a great defensive rebounding team. They rank 203rd in the nation defensive rebound percentage. Um, Duke is good on the glass on both ends, so I think they could neutralize Houston's offensive rebounding prowess. But Duke is the 15th team in the nation in 3-point percentage, and Houston turns teams over at the third highest clip in the nation, but Duke doesn't turn the ball over. And the last thing on that is Duke is the better free throw shooting team there. So playing a little devil's advocate here, but I think I might end up kind of fading what I think is going to be the public side. I actually think Duke can hang here, especially as much as I hate to say this, and it feels like I almost feel dirty doing it, but with the aggressive style that Houston plays, if Duke is getting a Duke whistle, then we could see similar foul trouble for some of Houston's key players.
Okay, but are you aware of a stat, Ray, about uh Houston's defense against free throws? Like I put in quotes defense, that means opposing teams' percentage against them is one of the
No, I
best. It's one of the best in the nations. I think that a
How
lot
is that
of
possible?
what do you mean?
I mean, I'm just saying, like, is there anything to be
There's
said
like
for that? Like,
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going. Here's my point is that I think there's something to be said when I watch them play, when I hear stats like that about Houston, they do just beat you up physically
That's
and
what it is.
really affect your game. They affect your shooting, they affect your legs. They play a good pace. They're all strong. They beat up every team they play, and we know this. And I think it's gonna affect Duke. And I don't think they're gonna get a Duke whistle. It's in Dallas, Texas. Um, I like this Houston team a lot. And I think they're scoring a little bit better right now than people give them credit for. Yeah, I'm
yeah.
huge.
And Shed and Roach should be a fantastic matchup. I think I give the upper hand to Shed.
Oh yeah,
Um, I mean, I don't know.
So
It's going to be a fantastic matchup. Ray, you bring up a ton of good points there. It could get interesting. It
it's
could
true.
be close. I don't know. It just that I lean Houston.
I
I know
think
Cam's absolutely going to hate this, but because teasing college basketball isn't great. But what about teasing the Zags and Dukes both up to 7?
No,
hate it. Hate it.
Just throwing an idea out there, you know.
I mean, the Zags could lose by 15
correct.
easily, easily.
Any team could lose by 15 or
That's
30.
right.
Right.
That's
We have a
right.
caller that is trying to hijack this show right now. I don't think I can take another call from this gentleman who
No, I think we
continues to
can
call in.
accept it. I think we can accept it.
Accept it, and if it's crap, hang up on them.
I've already let 3 calls go to the voice machine, so
Okay, we can move on. All right,
Do you
good.
want to play any of the voicemails?
he hasn't
No,
left any voicemails. Um, yeah, that one's going to be a great matchup. I'm really excited to watch it. I lean Houston, but that could change. I don't know. Houston might have expended a lot of energy too against Texas A&M, but I don't think that matters. They get to go back to their home state. Um, yeah, it'll be a good one. All right, should we take this call? He's hijacking the show.
Yep.
All right.
Hey, sorry for missing a couple of calls there. You're now live again, and what do you have?
Oh, no worries. Hey, just wanted to say, love you boys. This classic content. A huge Dick Pitino fan. Even bigger Creighton Blue Jays fan, however. How do you see the Blue Jays stealing game? Can they get past Dalton Connect, or do you think they're an early exit in the Sweet 16? Also, one more question. Tits or ass?
what did he say?
He
This
said
is a family show, sir.
he said he's a big
Creighton guy. Yeah, I heard that.
big Creighton guy. Can they get past Dalton Connect in this Tennessee club?
Nope.
Great segue as we were just going to get into that. He did leave by saying tits or ass
Oh, sure.
as his final question. So
Yes.
I don't discriminate.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
the
Yes.
answer to that is yes.
Big
Okay,
D
that's
and I guy.
Bofa.
so let's talk about this last matchup on Friday then. Creighton and Tennessee. Creighton is getting 3 points. Now, Tennessee, I thought I was really impressed with the way Tennessee played defense against Texas. Texas really wasn't able to create anything offensively. Now, this is a different Creighton team, though. This is a long Creighton team with with their big men, with Kalkbrenner and with Baylor Shireman, right? I think that their size can
Yeah.
do something to affect Tennessee in a little bit of a different way. The one thing Texas did that was very, very good against Tennessee was defend the 3-point line. They really affected Dalton Connect. I think, Weaver made a difference off the bench, finally gave him a boost in scoring. This one fares to be a very interesting game. And can Creighton match Tennessee's physicality? That would be my question. What do you guys think?
No, they cannot. No, they cannot. And here's what's going to happen in this game. Tennessee's going to come out and they're going to jump Creighton. They're going to jump them on all fronts. Rick Barnes is going to hit him with the left. He's going to hit him with the right. He's going to come right down the middle with the front knee to the face. Okay. Creighton will not win this game. My play of the Sweet 16 is Tennessee money line and Houston money line. There is no way either one of these two teams is gonna win.
I think Ray is strongly against you here.
That's okay. That's okay.
I
That's
know.
okay.
I just see him shaking his head. Ray, what do you think?
Um, Yeah, I mean, I believe in this Blue Jays team. I believe in their offense. It is going to be tough to shut down Connect. I don't know who they put on him. Um, I think Connect can give them problems in the pick and roll because Kalkbrenner can't really switch onto a guard like that. So that's going to be an issue. And then also Ashworth scares me with the physicality of Ziegler and the backcourt that Tennessee has.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I mean,
Even
this is
A Smith struggled.
yeah, this is gonna be one of the best games of the tournament. But I think McDermott's a great coach. I think he's gonna scheme up some good offense. I think he's gonna find out how to kind of get Tennessee to overplay and maybe get some good looks for some of their shooters. And here's the thing, Creighton's gonna have to hit shots to be in this game, but I'm confident that they will. And I'm probably going to take the 2.5 if I have to.
See, this game makes my brain hurt, especially with Creighton kind of battling. And I think, I don't know, maybe we were all in agreement, maybe not. They were overseeded at the 3 spot, but they've shown up. Tennessee playing great ball. The thing that I think Dalton Connect is the X factor there, obviously. I think Tennessee gets it done. I think they've got a more efficient offense and they seem like a more cohesive group. Something interesting that John might be interested in is there's a prop for Dalton
We're losing
Connect
you.
points,
We're
rebounds,
losing you.
assists. The line is at 27. What are your thoughts there? Dalton
Points,
Connect
rebounds,
points,
assists.
rebounds, assists, 27.
I'd just rather take Tennessee on the money line. I think he can have 15 rebounds, 15 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and they could win 67-63 like they did against Texas.
Well, the thing that impressed me about Tennessee as well too was Dalton Connect didn't have a great game against Texas, and they still found a way to win. He hasn't had a great game the first 2 games of the tournament, and they found
But he makes shots when it matters, when they need
he,
him.
he has made shots when it matters, absolutely. But I'm just saying they can win without him. I mean they've
Yes,
somehow proven that.
that's right.
I don't know.
Yeah,
The appears to be a very awesome game though.
yeah, and I am worried about Tennessee's physicality. I'll be
Yeah.
very upfront about that.
You know what the one thing I'll say, 'cause since we're saying what we're worried about, one thing I'm a tad bit worried about is I'm a tad bit worried about Baylor Shireman just like pulling from half court and hitting 5 threes in a row. And then like somehow Ziegler gets in foul trouble because he's beating the piss out of Ashworth and Ashworth's crying on the court. And it's just, I'm worried about that a little bit.
You're worried about, yeah, that's fair. All right, so who do you guys have coming out of these regions now as it currently stands? Who do you got coming out of the East? UConn, San Diego State, Illinois, Iowa State. Johnny, you go first.
Gotta be UConn.
Ray,
UConn.
Kane.
UConn.
Okay, I'm going to be the contrarian and say Illinois.
Fine.
Right.
Ooh.
Even if UConn gets past San Diego State, which I don't think they will, I think Illinois can score. All right. What about the West region? Clemson, Arizona, Alabama, UNC.
I'm
Johnny.
gonna take a shot. I'm gonna take a shot at Bama.
I like UNC's path the rest of the way. I think they get past Bama and Arizona. Caleb Love game would be fun.
Yes, that would be a blast, Ray.
I agree with the Tar Heels, although I previously had the Lobos RIP.
Tar Heels. I got the Tar Heels as well too. We'll go with the 1 seed there. This could end up being real chalky.
Gonna
Midwest region, we've got Purdue, Gonzaga, Creighton, Tennessee.
I think we might all have different teams here. I'm going with Purdue.
Yeah, and I have Creighton.
I have Purdue.
I have Purdue as well. I put the future on Purdue. Listen, Ray, I would love to see that Purdue Creighton matchup, and we're getting closer there, so that would be fun. It would also, I mean, Purdue Tennessee would be a great matchup as well too. Low key, I want one of those two matchups to happen. That'd be fantastic ball. The South region, North Carolina State, Marquette, Duke, Houston.
Chalk.
I
We're gonna
want
have
to go
all
with
one seeds.
Houston. I want to go with Houston. I kind of like Marquette. I kind of like Marquette as a dark horse in the whole thing.
It pains me to be this guy, but I'm gonna lean into it this next week. Duke to the Final Four.
Oh,
Oh,
I just threw up in my mouth.
that's twisting a knife in me.
Yeah,
hey, somebody had to do it,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
right?
I
If you want
respect
to
it. I
fall, if
respect
you
it.
want to fall on the grenade, yeah, I respect that, man.
I've got Houston. Casual.
Johnny, I like the Marquette or pick a lot.
Yeah.
I'd love to see Houston and Marquette play. I'll take Houston though. This could very well end up being 4 number 1 seeds.
Yes. I
So,
would not be shocked at all.
I think that about wraps it up as far as everything that I've got. I think I'm really looking forward to all these matchups. I think there's a lot of matchups here, a lot of lines that really just like you're double taking. You're gonna be sitting looking at those lines for 3 days
Yeah.
until you decide to place a wager on Thursday or Friday evening, and it's like either way, you're probably not gonna feel that great about it, but
No.
except Johnny loves that parlay you dialed up there, Tennessee and Houston. So that's good. Other than that, I really don't have anything that I'm super confident in. It's going to be interesting basketball, that's for sure.
Super pumped. Sweet 16, fellas.
Yep.
Yep.
Anybody else got anything before we sign off?
No, I think these first two rounds set up very nicely for a fantastic weekend of ball coming up.
Yep.
I wanna thank the public for their interaction and calls. I believe it was a singular caller, but hey, it's great to
I think there
interact with the
was
common man.
I think there was a couple of different voices on there, but similar slapdick content. They must have been together. I don't know who these fellas were either, but great stuff. Yes, thanks everybody for tuning in. Um, and stay tuned into our Twitter. We'll be giving out picks and see what happens here, man. It's gonna be whatever it ends up being. It's probably gonna shape up for a great Final Four. So excited to watch hoops this week. Without anything else, that about wraps it up for the show. Thanks for tuning in.
Peace. All right, good
Who was
shit.
the caller? Who was the caller?
That's Johnny's buddy.
Oh,
Who?
I don't know. He called in last week too.
Yeah, didn't you say that was
He
JD?
texted last week too.
Who
Was
knows?
it?
Oh, JD was definitely one of the callers.
No, it wasn't.
No?
No, it would have shown up on my thing.
Oh shit.
He called
Yep.
last week though, didn't he?
No, he didn't.
You told me he
Luke.
did.
Luke did.
JD? Yeah, JD did not.
Oh. Hmm. Well, dude, this is a really weird time. I'm kind of this is the seasonal depression time of the year, you know.
Yeah.
I know. I know. Let's not talk about it.
It's bad, man. It's really bad.
Gonna spend time with the fam and their girlfriend after this for sure.
It's sad.
dude, Saturday was depressing. We were at a dimly lit wine bar with no TVs for Hannah's birthday.
Oh,
I mean,
that
I was the one who planned it to be the good husband, but yeah, it was four. We went out to dinner before, so I was no TVs from 4 until 1:30 a.m.
better man than me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, once we got to the wine bar at 7:30, Jake had it up on his phone the entire time. So real saint, real saint.
So we'll do next Monday.
Yeah,
Yep.
Do we possibly maybe spaces on Saturday, play it by ear?
Yeah, I'm down.
I'm gonna be at a bachelor party this weekend, so probably no spaces for me. But
All right.
Good. Sounds good.
Yeah, one of the days we got to try to do, one last spaces or if not if not this weekend, then maybe before the Final Four or something. But yeah,
All right.
but I'm down for
Alrighty.
next Monday. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. We'll see you
Good
guys.
stuff, boys.
All right.
Have a great week.